The first time I saw her, it wasn't on a throne or draped in the golden insignias of her empire. She was bent over, scrubbing the floors of a crowded spaceport tavern, her hair pulled back, apron smudged with grease, hands streaked with the grime of 1,000 travelers. The moment could have been mundane, unremarkable, but it wasn't. My heart recognized her before my mind did. I had served in the Imperial Archives for a decade, cataloging histories, treaties, and diplomatic correspondences. I had met hundreds of delegates, envoys, and spies, but none left the imprint that she had. My Empress, the luminous ruler of the Andari Dominion, had always been distant in both presence and perception, imposing, inscrutable, beautiful, and terrifying in equal measure. And yet here she was, pretending to be nothing, pretending to be everyone's servant. I watched from a corner table, pretending to skim the latest shipment logs while my eyes traced her movements. Every sweep of the broom, every careful placement of mugs, carried the same rhythm I had memorized from the tapestries and holographic recordings of her court. There was an elegance in the way she moved, even when performing menial tasks, an elegance that no ordinary servant could imitate. The realization hit me like a shockwave. She was testing me, not with spies, nor with riddles, nor with the ceremonial trials the Empire was known for, but with simplicity itself. By becoming invisible, by walking among the people, by daring me to see her as she was. I approached cautiously, letting my training guide my steps. "Are you new here?" I asked, voice neutral, careful not to betray the recognition in my tone. She looked up, and for a fleeting second, her eyes held mine with a familiarity that made the tavern's noise disappear. "I am," she said softly, "just starting today." Her voice, though muted, carried the resonance of authority I had only heard in court chambers. The lilt, the cadence, the subtle command hidden beneath a mask of subservience, it was unmistakable. My heart pounded in defiance of reason. I had known her through histories, through official portraits, through ceremonial introductions, but to hear her speak in anonymity was a revelation. I could not let her challenge go unnoticed. "Perhaps I could help you," I said, stepping closer. "The back storage is tricky for newcomers." She tilted her head, assessing me with a mixture of amusement and caution. "That would be helpful," she admitted, though her eyes betrayed a trace of mischief. As we moved through the narrow corridors of the tavern, I studied her in silence. Every gesture, every subtle shift in weight, every glance was a memory I had stored of her, not just from sight, but from instinct. I had memorized the Empress's poise, her habits, the way she tilted her chin when intrigued, the slight curl of her smile when amused. We reached the storage room, stacked high with crates and barrels. I motioned toward a shelf, handing her a box of supplies. Her hands brushed mine briefly, and in that touch, I felt the entire weight of her presence. It was a quiet, private storm that seemed to surround us, making the mundane act of moving supplies feel monumental. "You are unlike any other I've known," I said carefully, not daring to name what I had already seen. She chuckled, a sound that was almost imperceptible but lingered in the air between us. "I am not what I seem," she said, placing the crate gently down. "But then again, neither are you." I froze, suddenly aware that the game had begun. She was not only testing me, she was drawing me in, measuring my perception, my loyalty, and my courage. "I've served the Empire for 10 years, I said finally, "and I know loyalty isn't just obedience. It's knowing the heart behind the crown." Her gaze softened, and for a moment, she looked less like a ruler and more like the woman beneath the title. "Then perhaps," she whispered, "you know me better than most." Over the following days, I returned to the tavern under the guise of research, cataloging the movement of goods and travelers while secretly observing her. She worked tirelessly, her disguise flawless to everyone else, yet I could see the traces of the Empress in every glance, every sigh, every quiet decision. She helped the injured, consoled the lonely, defused disputes, all while carrying the weight of a crown invisible to the world. It was not long before rumors began to swirl around the tavern. Patrons whispered about the strange new servant, the one who seemed to anticipate needs before they were voiced, who spoke with authority disguised as kindness. Some joked that she was a noble in hiding, others claimed she was a visiting diplomat. But no one guessed the truth, and that was exactly how she wanted it. One evening, after the tavern had emptied, she leaned against the counter, wiping her hands with a rag. "You've been watching," she said, almost accusingly. "I have," I admitted. "And I see you." Her eyes narrowed slightly, and for a moment, the mask fell away entirely. I saw her as she was: brilliant, vulnerable, commanding, and human. "Then you understand why I had to do this," she said quietly. "To walk among my people, to feel their eyes without fear, without protocol, to remember why I rule." I nodded, my chest tight. "And to test me," I said. A smile broke across her face, radiant yet tinged with sorrow. "Yes," she whispered, "to test you." We walked outside together, the night air crisp and alien. The twin moons of Andari Prime hung low, casting silver light over the bustling streets. Even in anonymity, her presence drew attention, though no one recognized her for what she truly was. I felt a swell of pride, knowing that I alone carried the secret of her identity. "Why me?" I asked. "Why trust me with this?" She stopped, turning to face me fully. "Because you have always seen me, even when others only saw the crown. You understand the weight, the burden, and the loneliness that comes with it. You do not flinch at truth, nor do you bow blindly to ceremony." Her words were both accusation and confession, and I felt the gravity of them settle around us. "Then you are not testing my loyalty," I said finally. "You are trusting it." For a long moment, we stood in silence, watching the crowd, the flow of life, the myriad small dramas unfolding around us. And in that silence, I realized that my role was not merely to serve her in court, not merely to catalog history, but to witness her as she truly was. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "I return to the palace. The disguise ends, the throne resumes its weight. But tonight I am simply me, and you simply you." I nodded, understanding the depth of her words. "Then let us not speak of crowns or titles tonight. Just two people, standing in the same light." We found a quiet alley, hidden from the traffic and neon glow of the spaceport. She leaned back against the wall, and I did the same, and for a fleeting, fragile moment, we existed without the layers of expectation, without the scrutiny of the Empire. She reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "I forgot how it feels," she murmured, "to be seen without the mask." "You are always seen by me," I said, my voice steady. "Even when you hide." Her smile was luminous, the kind that seemed to illuminate even the darkest corners of the galaxy. "Then perhaps," she said, "you are the only one fit to walk beside me, both in shadow and in light." The next morning, we returned to the spaceport, her disguise gone, her presence once again commanding. The tavern erupted in murmurs and awe, though no one suspected the truth of what had transpired. I followed her silently, a witness and a confidant, my heart steady in the knowledge that I alone knew her as she truly was. The weeks that followed were a delicate dance. In court, she was the Empress, luminous and untouchable, but in quiet moments, she revealed herself in fragments, gestures, glances, the subtle play of humor and vulnerability. Each day, I learned more about the woman behind the empire, and each day, I realized that my loyalty was not to the crown alone, but to her, her mind, her heart, her soul. It was during one council meeting, amid negotiations with the Andari sector lords, that I saw the culmination of her test. A delegation attempted to undermine her decisions, questioning her authority, attempting to manipulate the votes in their favor. Most advisors hesitated, afraid to challenge the intricacies of interstellar politics. But I knew her strategy, her intuition, the way she read people. Without speaking, I passed her a small, folded note, written in the shorthand only we shared. "Trust yourself. They follow fear, not reason." She read it, and a subtle, almost imperceptible nod followed. Then, with a voice that rang clear and undeniable, she addressed the council. "Your assumptions are based on fear, not logic. The empire moves not through coercion, but through understanding. You misjudge us." The delegation faltered, their power dissolved by the quiet authority she wielded effortlessly. And in that moment, I realized that my knowledge of her, our shared secret, was not merely an advantage, it was a bond, a silent pact that strengthened her rule and anchored my loyalty. Later that night, in the quiet of her private chambers, she turned to me. "You saw me when I was nothing," she said, almost in wonder. "Not the crown, not the empire, just me." "And I knew you," I replied, "by heart. Every moment, every gesture, every truth you could not speak aloud." She reached for my hand, and I felt the weight of our shared understanding, heavier and lighter all at once. "Then we are bound," she said softly. "Not by duty, not by ceremony, but by recognition, by knowing the soul beneath the title." I nodded, and in that recognition, I understood the truth of service, the truth of loyalty, and the rare, radiant beauty of being known completely by the one who mattered most. The Empress's smile lingered, bright and unyielding, and in that moment, I knew that no test, no disguise, no shadow of doubt could ever sever the bond we had forged. She had walked among her people as a servant, and I had seen her, recognized her, understood her. And in knowing her, I had become more than an advisor or a witness. I had become her confidant, her protector, and the one who loved the Empress not for her throne, but for her heart. And so we remained, two souls bound by truth, by recognition, and by the quiet knowledge that even among the stars, the greatest power was the courage to see and be seen.